They thought I was too old, too weak, too naive to notice, but I saw every greedy glance, every whispered conversation about what I would leave behind. My son and his wife treated me like a burden, always hinting at my death as if I couldn't. Here, they thought my will was already written in their favor. But I had a secret, one that would shatter their little empire of lies. When I finally revealed it, they realized too late the cost of underestimating me. Let me tell you how I turned their betrayal into the sweetest revenge a mother could give. I started noticing the shift years ago, after my husband passed away. At first, my son visited often, asking if I needed help with groceries or repairs. But slowly, those visits turned into demands. "Mom, you should move in with us. It'll be easier," which sounded caring, until I realized it meant he wanted control. His wife, Sharon, was worse. She treated me like a nuisance, rolling her eyes at my cooking, sighing loudly when I asked for small favors. One night, I overheard them in the kitchen, whispering about selling my house once I was gone. They laughed, thinking I'd never know. That was the night I decided to play my own game. Quietly and carefully. The betrayal cut deeper when Sharon started helping me with paperwork. She'd bring forms, asking for my signature, pretending it was insurance updates or medical documents. I wasn't born yesterday. I noticed blank lines and vague titles, and I knew she was trying to trick me into signing away my rights. My son didn't stop her. In fact, he encouraged it. "It's just easier this way, Mom," he'd say, as if I were too old to understand. Every word stung. I raised him to be honest, to work hard, to respect people. Instead, here he was, standing by while his wife plotted to erase me from my own life. The walls of my house felt like they were closing in, but I wasn't ready to give up what was mine. That night, I sat alone at the kitchen table, staring at the stack of papers they'd left out, my hands trembling but my mind sharper than they could ever imagine. They thought I was weak, but what they didn't know was that years ago, after my husband passed, I had worked quietly with a trusted lawyer to prepare a will that protected me from exactly this kind of betrayal. Sharon believed she was clever, but the real secret was mine. I had already hidden the true documents in a safety deposit box, ironclad and untouchable. Watching them circle me like vultures only fueled my resolve. I decided then and there that I wouldn't just protect what I had, I would make them regret underestimating me. The next morning, I played the part of the frail old woman they assumed I was. I shuffled around the house, nodding to their fake concern, but inside, every move I made was calculated. While Sharon busied herself making calls about future plans, I quietly gathered proof of her schemes. I kept my phone tucked into my apron pocket, recording her as she bragged about selling off my jewelry and splitting the money with my son. Each word was another nail in her coffin. I also slipped into her room when she wasn't home and snapped photos of the forged will she had printed out, her handwriting clumsy and obvious. Piece by piece, I built the case, waiting for the perfect moment to strike, because when I did, there would be no coming back for her. When the day finally came, I invited Sharon and my son to sit down for what I called a family talk. They smirked, probably thinking I was about to hand over my will and surrender everything, but instead, I pulled out a folder and slid it across the table. Inside were the recordings of Sharon's greedy words, the photos of her forged documents, and even copies I'd already given to my lawyer. Their faces drained of color as I explained, calmly, that not only had I caught every scheme, but the authorities would be interested in the fraud she attempted. Sharon stammered excuses, my son avoided my eyes, but I didn't stop. For the first time in years, I felt powerful again. The silence in that room was heavy, broken only by their nervous breathing, as they realized the game was over. The fallout came faster than they expected. My lawyer wasted no time filing charges, and within days, investigators were at my door asking for statements. Sharon's fake confidence crumbled under pressure, and soon enough, she was the one being questioned instead of manipulating the questions. My son tried to shield her, claiming she didn't mean it, but the evidence spoke louder than any excuses. Watching her break down as the police collected documents and handed her a summons felt like justice wrapping itself around me. The woman who thought she could steal from me, who believed I was too weak, too old, too blind, was finally caught in her own trap. I sat back in my chair, heart steady for the first time in years, and thought to myself, this was only the beginning of what she deserved. The court hearings turned into a spectacle. Neighbors who once believed Sharon's lies sat in the gallery, whispering as the judge read out the charges: fraud, theft, and attempted forgery of a will. Sharon's face was pale, her eyes darting around for sympathy she no longer had. My son sat beside her, shoulders slumped, realizing the woman he defended had built her love on greed and manipulation. When the prosecutor revealed Sharon had even tried to sell a few of my smaller heirlooms behind my back, the gasp in the courtroom was deafening. For the first time, my son couldn't meet my eyes. He finally saw what I had seen all along, and when the gavel came down, sentencing her to prison, I felt a calm I hadn't known in years, like the air in the room had finally been cleared. When it was all over, I walked out of that courtroom with my head high, clutching my cane but feeling stronger than I had in years. Sharon was gone, and the poison she'd poured into my family had been exposed to everyone. My son, humbled and ashamed, came to me afterward with tears in his eyes, promising he would never doubt me again. The neighbors who once pitied me now nodded with respect, whispering how I had been right all along. But the truth is, it wasn't about proving anyone wrong. It was about protecting the legacy my husband and I built. The jewelry, the memories, the dignity of my family. Sharon thought she could steal what mattered most. Instead, she lost everything. And me. I learned that even when age slows your steps, it doesn't weaken your resolve. Revenge doesn't always come with fear, it comes with truth, patience, and the will to stand tall until justice finally arrives.